All right, guys, welcome back to From the Beach to the Bar, me and Jess's monthly-ish podcast. Today it's judicial season, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to have one of the candidates who we consider a close personal friend, Pete Tanel, who is a deputy district attorney on. He is running for District Court Department
26.
And so we'll talk a little crim with him. We'll talk a little judge with him. The courtroom that he is running for is a civil courtroom, so we'll also talk about his opinions on civil matters and things like that. Pete, welcome to the show.
Good to be here. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me here.
No worries. And I was a half an hour late, so this is 100%. Pete might run out because he's important and we're not. All right. So, Pete, tell us about your background.
All right. Well, let's see. Are we going like back to the beginning background? I mean, what level of background?
Second grade. Who was your second grade teacher?
Yeah. So in first grade, I grew up in Fort Collins, Colorado, which is up northern part of Colorado. It's Colorado State University near Wyoming, but we don't right up there. So I grew up there, did K through 12 there. It was a great place to grow up, great place to live. And after that, I was at BYU. I did BYU for a year. And then I did a church mission for 2 years in Santiago, Chile. Santiago, Chile. I should say Santiago, Chile.
Chile.
Yeah, so nobody's like, they're like, Chile, really, dude? But anyways, so I did that. And then I was back at BYU. After I finished there, I was going to be a journalist. So I worked at a newspaper. So I worked at a newspaper for a while. I helped cover the 2002 Winter Olympics. That was fun. Although I was very low man on the totem pole. So all the people... So at the time, I was on the Olympic desk, so I thought, oh, this is great. Once the Olympics comes, I'm going to be covering hockey and all this stuff. And then once the time the Olympics came, I realized how pecking order works, and I got to cover one curling, and that was it. And then otherwise, they had me write about like general interests, which is basically like everything but the sports, which it's fine. I'm not salty. It's fine. But it was so I did that, and then I worked in the business world for a little while. I worked in public relations. I did that some businesses, and then I thought, I'm going to go to law school. So I went to law school.
Where'd you go?
I went to the University of Utah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go Utes.
Yep. So did the University of Utah. It was a great law school. Loved it. And then we decided to come down to Vegas. So I came down to Vegas, started at a firm in Vegas, Alverson Taylor, Mortensen Sanders. A lot of people started there back in the day.
Like every LDS kid starts.
Yeah, I was going to say, listen, I was trying to be like, but yes, that was a very common place to start. Honestly, when I was at the University of Utah, I didn't know at the time, but my wife and I, we were both kind of up for adventure, and we were like, let's get out of here. Let's do something new. We were kind of excited to go somewhere new. So we ended up coming down to Vegas and starting there, and I did work there for a little while, and then...
How long did you last?
6 months.
That's what I figured. Yeah. Alverson Taylor it used to be a big firm in town. I don't even know. Are they still around?
I don't know.
Yeah, but they used to be like a training ground for a lot of civil attorneys, and so this firm was famous. They had a huge building for pumping out attorneys and training attorneys, but man, they would grind them so bad that people didn't last that long.
I got pretty close to the top of the masthead after those 6 months. No, I'm just
you were near partner.
Yeah, no, there were partner discussions, but
yes.
No, I'm just joking. Honestly, the thing is, though, I still have friends from there. But I met some really great people there, and so I still have friends from there, and there's still people out there in the judiciary. So like Judge Toon in Mesquite, he was there at Alverson Taylor. Judge Tara Clark Newberry, she was there with me. PD Rob O'Brien, who does murder stuff in the PD's office, he was there. So there's actually a lot of us who I still come into contact and see. So it's kind of cool. It's like a old badge honor.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was thinking, I don't know if Tara Clark Newberry or Toon have ever smiled before.
No, they're both the nicest. Stop it. I will not take their slander here. I will throw down. No slander. They are both two of the nicest, most generous, wonderful people. I'm not just saying that. I love those guys.
They're both good judges, but they're funny to me. Their ability to smile is somewhat compromised.
Now listen, Judge Toon has a very steady way about him on the, how it is on the bench. He's just very steady. I love it.
Dude, you're in Mesquite. All you're doing is child porn and meth.
There's drugs. There's other things.
Yeah.
No, listen, Judge Toon, I always tell people, for real, Judge Toon runs one of the best drug courts in all of Southern Nevada, which people never believe me. I'm like, no. The drug court they do there in Mesquite is phenomenal. Like, he is on top of it. But anyway, so, yeah.
All right, so then...
You're like, all right, enough. Sorry. No. I haven't even gotten to the DA's office yet.
I know.
Listen, we might run out of time.
Fucking old man Winter over here.
And then I remember back in '04. In '04, we.
So true. But here's the thing. Like, so you started in insurance defense, because that's what Alverson Taylor is famous for, is insurance defense, which is defending insurance companies in personal injury actions. But also, they had a big construction defect firm, part of the firm as well. And what they do there, obviously, is if your house is poorly constructed, there was a law in the books. I forget, was it Chapter 42? I forget what it was, because they got rid of it. But so he did defense side for that. So he represented the insurance companies to say, like, nah, your house is fine, things of that nature. And then he realized that that is a soulless, evil industry, because defending insurance companies is always a soulless, evil industry. And so he decided to stop being a whore, and he became a prostitute.
So you brought me on to try and get me in trouble. Is this what now I understand? So is this the part where I'm supposed to be like, oh no, he's off the rails?
This is you appealing to your alternative electorate. So that's the way you have to look.
Listen, the way, and listen, you can go the horror route. I like to say. I like to say that what happened was my third year of law school at the University of Utah, I did an externship at the DA's office there in Salt Lake. And it was awesome. And it was so cool. And the justice court there, they actually they'll do jury trials there, which they'll do like DUI jury trials because as I call Pick the Mormon. Because when you're doing voir dire, it's like, okay, who here likes to do things on Sundays? Whoa, because they can't say it, so they'll say things without saying it.
Don't you have like secret handshakes you show?
So there's just little things that they're doing, and so the defense is just trying to be like, so who likes to go out on Fridays and drink a little bit, And so so I learned a lot about Salt Lake law there. I was like, this is interesting. So so by the end of the third year, I was like, dang, that is. It's just it's really, you guys know how criminal law is. It's just really interesting, and it's engaging, and you're in court and doing it, and I really enjoyed it. So when I got out here and I was doing Alverson Taylor, like I said, a lot of amazing people, but I still had that itch, like I really enjoyed the criminal law. And so when a friend of a friend's like, hey, I heard the DA's office is hiring here, and I was like, you know what? And that's kind of 18 years now. 18 years.
As an aside, when I first moved to town, I worked for a firm called Springle and Fink. Springle and Fink were insurance defense guys, and I love both Adam and Lenny to death. However, I too lasted 6 months, and then I as well became a prosecutor for the city of Las Vegas. So I 100% understand where Pete's coming from, the itch for criminal and the entertainment of criminal. You're never bored.
Oh, no. Boredom's never bored.
So
furthest thing.
You became a DA, and when you became a DA, it was because, like you said, you wanted to scratch the itch, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and so what made you choose one side over the other?
That's a good question. I mean, you could say part of it was just the fact that I had started doing it in that DA's office when I was at the third year of law school. And so I was already kind of comfortable. Like, that already kind of made sense to me. I knew kind of how the process worked from that side. So, I mean, that'd be part of it. But also, I mean, I think there was something that I enjoyed about the white hat part of it, working with victims and all of that. I don't know. I really liked it. I enjoyed that.
Couple of things. I'm like the running commentary afterwards, I guess.
No, that's good.
I, too, did a third year of law school externship at a DA's office in Alameda County, which is like Oakland in that area of California. Now, as to the white hat, what white hat means is that these people are doing noble work and things like that.
Ben, wait. Could that be the clip from the show? These people are doing noble work. I can run with that, right? I just want to make sure. Let's just cut that out. Let's keep that for later.
I was going to say, you can cut that however you want.
I'm going to use that in court.
I was about to say, I don't necessarily agree with that. Pete does noble work. However, there's some people in his office who seem to forget to turn things over, things of that nature. And so,
and I also like to say, and I mean, I'm not just pandering, but let me pander for a minute.
Please do.
It's all noble work. I mean, because listen, as you guys know, I mean, there's people on the other side, they need, so whenever, and it's funny because I'll have people say to me straight face, like, how can you be a DA? And just be like, you disgust me.
Really?
And then, but then on the exact opposite, they'll have somebody else be like, how could somebody be a defense attorney? Like, they discuss, and so it's interesting to me just because I'm like, well, you got to see it for the whole. Like, it's all important. It all has to happen this way for it to work. And so if somebody isn't going to do their job, then it just doesn't work. Like, it doesn't happen. And so I'm like, it's all part of it.
I'm surprised someone would say that. How could you be a DA?
Oh, no, you'd be surprised. There's people.
I was going to say they're all public defenders.
Well, yeah.
I can see that, yeah.
No, I mean, people have strong opinions.
Interesting.
People have strong opinions. I've heard them both.
Yeah, I do remember when I started. Obviously, I worked for the city of Las Vegas, which I like to refer to, and no offense to you guys over at the city, because I love you all. But I referred to it as JV criminal prosecution because you're only doing misdemeanors. But even when I was doing that in city jail and municipal jail, and I think Jess will agree with me, you're much more likely to actually spend time in jail than you are necessarily
100%.
in the county where Pete works. And so the hardest thing for me was putting people in jail for misdemeanors, which are, like your DUIs, batteries, things like that. Because when somebody's in jail for 30 days, they're probably going to lose their job. Their rent, their car payment, all those things are going to be affected. And obviously they committed a crime, so there's an argument that they deserve this. But at the same time, it's tough, or I had a tough period putting people in jail. And obviously I was doing it for up to 6 months, but Pete, Pete has a lot of cases, and he's done a few against us, I believe, where it is something to life. So when you were dealing with that, when you were putting people in custody, and you're not putting people in custody, to be fair.
I know what you mean, though. Yeah, I get it.
Like, how did you deal with that in the beginning?
I mean, it's weighty stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not saying it's not still weighty. I mean, now I'm a little more like, I've been doing it for 18 years, but at the beginning, I mean, you'd just be sitting there and you'd be like, oh my gosh, like this is a lot. Yeah. And so, and especially just because Vegas is, I mean, there's no nice way of saying it. It's high volume. There's just a lot of cases. Like, I mean, if I said otherwise, I'd just be lying. You guys know how it is. It's just a lot of cases. Yeah. And so with a lot of cases, it's just coming through. And so you don't want to feel like you're just kind of like, like,
it's not triage.
Like it's just it's just triage and whatever. I mean, you want to feel like you're putting real thought and real thing. And so, I mean, early on, the what I've always striven to do is be just true to myself. And one of the great things about this DA's office, I think this is true of most DA's offices, if not all, which is I've never had somebody come in there and be like, you have to convict this guy no matter what. I mean, if I was like, he's innocent, they'd be like, screw that, we're gonna convict him. You know what I mean? Like I've never had that. If I really read something and I was like, no, he didn't do this, or this is a lot less than this, or this is really a misdemeanor. Generally, I mean, I'll have a conversation, and sometimes people will be like, well, I disagree, we'll talk about it. But it's not like I get this pressure to just jam it, like there's not somebody, sitting there keeping track, keeping score kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, and guys, I want to point out something that like Pete's on the show because A, he's a friend, but B, he's a solid prosecutor. He has never done Jess and I wrong. His offers are fair. One of the things I always tell criminal clients is, I'm not necessarily going to get you off, but it's my job to make sure you're only found guilty of the things you actually did. And so that's what Pete's talking about from a prosecutorial standpoint, defining what is a case worth? What can I prove as a prosecutor? Yeah. What is the defense's job? And we try to come to a resolution. What's funny in criminal law is the prosecutors and the defense attorneys are actually much more friendly and much more honest than I would say in the civil world, where everybody's got a knife to stab the other man in the back.
Yep.
Well, and I think part of it also I don't want to say collegiality, but part of that also comes from we all work together a lot. I mean, we have cases, and it's not like I'm going to see one guy and not see him again for a year. Yeah. I'm going to see him again a week or two. So if my word isn't, I mean, if I'm going to try and underdeal something or like mess with somebody or screw you over or anything like that, or give offers where you're like, does this guy even read the report? You know what I mean? Right. If I'm doing something like that,
and the answer is no.
Yeah, but it's all going to come back because we're going to see each other, right. And it's a not a small community, but it's a small enough community where everybody kind of knows. Yeah. You just know, who does what and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, your reputation has to be everything. It just has to.
100% agree. All right, so in your career as the DA, we know you bounced around. When you first started out the DA, you first started out clerking. And so you're doing a lot of appellate work. So you're doing a lot of writing.
Funny enough, I didn't start out clerking.
Oh, wow. You were one of the few.
Well, thank you very much. I am special. No, actually, the way this all happened, and this is kind of how I got at the DA's office, is, I mean, it's been long enough so I can say this. There was a few people who were the clerks. They didn't pass the bar exam.
Oh.
And so it worked out well for me because I showed up there to do an interview for a clerk. And they're like, well, do you want to be an attorney? And I was like, well, yeah, I passed the bar. Like that's kind of why I didn't come here to just be a clerk forever. I want to become an attorney. And so they said, well, here, come back in a week and we're going to do the attorney interviews then. And I was like, I'll be back. See you then. And so I jumped past it. But it was at the time pretty cool. But it's actually come back. I won't say to come back to bite me because I've learned. But over the years, I had to pick up the information that I would have picked up if I just would have been a clerk.
Gotcha.
And so now being the team chief of Special Victims Unit, I got a lot of appellate stuff. So a lot of the appellate stuff kind of funnels for me. And so I've had to, I would say, I've had to familiarize myself with I have to know this stuff that, so there's days where I'm like, I probably should have done clerk for a year. That would have been nice, But when you're down in in the trenches, just doing that. You don't do a lot of the appellate stuff. And so now with the appeals, I'm like, oh, that would have been good.
And just for the record, guys, he is the team chief of the Special Victims Unit, and essentially those are mostly sex cases.
Yeah.
Kitty cases, kitty deaths, things of that nature. The people who are, let's say, can't represent themselves or can't advocate for themselves as much as adults can.
Yeah. Nope, definitely. So that's really a big part of it is on the team we have, we prosecute, so crimes against children, whether it be physical or sexual abuse, that's a big part. So we have one person, Dina, really runs most of our crimes against children, physical abuse.
And that's Dina Redeni. She's a DA, and she is also a wonderful person.
She is. She's phenomenal DA. And then we have multiple other people on the team for the sex abuse part. Then we also have a team that's kind of under the umbrella of it. That's Vice. So they do the sex trafficking, pandering, all that kind of stuff. Billy does that. And we also, vehicular crimes is under the umbrella too, and domestic violence. So it's kind of a lot of things, but yeah, that's what we do. I mean, really kind of focus in. Like I said, the most that I spend the most time with is kids who've been abused, and then also adults who've been sexually assaulted. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about a couple of things. One, how'd you start out at the DA's office? Because when you start out at the DA's office, you're not starting out on a team like that because that's something you earn. So when you first start out, walk us through it. What did you do?
So when you first start out, they train you for a week or two, and then you walk into your office. It's not the nice office, you get like the new guy office. Yeah, there's no windows. It's a closet-ish, and then you got a desk there. And then I remember this is before we went paperless, and so you just walked in, and there was a stack of files about yay high off the desk, and they're like, all right,
Go get him.
go get him, Tiger.
That's your week.
Yeah.
So when he's going,
that's just a week.
Yeah. When he's going like this, that's 1 week. Because guess what? On Monday, he's going to get another stack like that.
Yep. And so it was basically like sit down and start reading, getting subpoenas out. Yep. But what you learn quickly, and I mean, it's not just this job. Pretty much any job is you also learn who you're going to talk to, who you're going to ask advice of, because I mean, each case you're like, oh my gosh, and so you just start. That's how they teach you. Is you just get in there and they just throw you right in, and you just start working, and you'll get some cases. We call them track, so it's on track. And on track, people think like, oh, you're just getting and I'm like, oh, no. You'll get cases. Yeah. I mean, you'll get real cases on track. When I was the team chief just a couple years ago, over a track team, I remember one of the people wandered in, and she's like, hey, I've got this red file, which is a murder case. And I was like, what does that say? I was like, my heart dropped. I was like, these things are supposed to come to me. I'm like, give me that file, And so I was like, oh my gosh, So it's real stuff comes through track, and so you learn really quickly that you can't do this on your own. So, and you do that for a few years.
Yeah.
And so for the first couple of years, I was just in there. My first team chief at Brian Rutledge. I know Brian. Brian's a riot. He's a lot of fun.
Brian was like the retirement financial master for the DA's office.
Yeah.
In terms of actual
100% true.
Yeah.
In terms of actual casework, I don't know if I ever had a trial with Brian. Anything like that.
Brian's smart,
Yeah.
super smart. And yes, it's funny you say that because I remember one of my first conversations. He's like, Pete, sit down. I'm going to explain deferred compensation to you. And I was like, okay. And so he just sat down. He was like, here's how much you're going to put in. And you know what? He did right by me. I mean, he was right. Yeah. Brian has been right about all that stuff. So that was great. So that was like a really cool way to start. And then once you're kind of in there a little bit, they've changed it up now. But back then, you could then go to, I don't know if it's a promotion. It's not promotion, but you go to the outline team. Because then
the outline team, for those of you who don't know, would be like your Laughlin's, your Mesquites, your Malapa.
Northtown and Henderson too.
Oh yeah.
Basically everything but Vegas.
Yeah.
And so those are cool because when you're in Vegas, when you're downtown, there's a lot of people. You have a lot of nets that can catch you. If you're having problems, you can call and people can come help you out. You'll have a clerk there. But when you're out there on the outers, I mean, you're the tightrope guy and there's no net underneath there. You got to know what you're doing. And so it's kind of cool. So it was a lot of fun to go out there, and I loved the outers. I loved going out there.
I had as a defense attorney, I had a track in the outlying, and it was actually pretty cool. One of the things that's funny, though, I still remember, is Good Springs is part of the outlying, and that's like when you're coming into Vegas after you pass Prim, but before you get to that second casino that's now shut down. I can't even think of the name of it.
Something.
But Good Springs
Whiskey Pete's.
Yeah.
Whiskey Pete's, yeah.
But Good Springs had like just a gift for, I remember I was there and there was a 25-year-old bench warrant return. So what that means is that case was sitting for 25 years before they caught the guy. And I don't know what the facts of it were, but it just blew my mind because usually those things never happen. But in Good Springs, that shit happens fairly regularly.
But what's interesting about Good Springs is you'll get cases. This is this PG-13 show, so I'm not going to tell you all the details here. But you would sit there and you'd be doing like traffic stuff, because you get a lot of traffic stuff. I mean, everybody's going 90 on the 6, that right
Guilty.
there. And all of a sudden you'd open up a file and it'd be like something from Prim. But I remember one I opened up and I was like, oh my gosh, and it was like, jeez. And so you're like traffic, you're like. And then out of nowhere, something crazy happened in Prim.
Yeah.
Which happens all the time. I mean, you'll just be kind of like flowing along, and then all of a sudden, something completely out of the ordinary is there.
Okay, now let's talk about, trials and things like that. Because specifically, like the thing I always learned, I don't know if it's true anymore, but the way it used to work is if you've done one jury trial, you've already done more than 90% you've already tried more cases than 90% of the attorneys in the entire nation. If you have done 10 trials, 10 jury trials, 2 verdicts, then you are in the top 1% of trial attorneys in the entire nation. I think I'm sitting at 60 or 70. I lost count after a while.
I'm at least 50.
Yeah.
I'm close to 50.
Yeah.
And that's taking it through verdicts. If you if I started counting like halfway through, there's a plea or there's a mistrial, like once you start counting that, then I start to
and if you went through bench trials, like all of a sudden.
Yeah, well, bench trials you can't count.
Yeah.
When people count bench trials, I'm like,
yeah,
come on.
You must be a city attorney.
I'm like that. I'm not saying anything else. I'm just saying there's nothing like a jury trial. Like there's just no. You can practice, you can talk about it, but there's nothing like a jury trial until you're doing a jury trial.
Okay, and so do you remember your first trial?
My very first trial was with Brian Rutledge. It was. I remember because I remember going out. It was okay. When you're on Las Vegas Boulevard, you know where Lovett's is, the custard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So right across the street from Lovett's, I don't know if Lovett's is going to like me saying this, but well, there's one sponsorship you're not going to get. So right across the street, there had been just like a very just kind of low end, hand to hand drug transaction, and an amount that at the time would have been deemed a lot, but nowadays maybe wouldn't under the current statutory limitations wouldn't be quite as much seen. If you know what I mean?
What he's talking about is they base certain charges on the weight of the drugs.
Yeah.
So in a situation like way back in the day, if you had 4 to 14 ounces of marijuana, it moved the charge from a misdemeanor. Was it a gross or a felony at that point?
For the marijuana, it was, I want to say it's gross. For the meth, if you had over 4 grams, it was low trafficking.
Yeah.
For your Schedule 1 stuff, that was a low trafficking over 4 grams. And this was like, I want to say 5 or 6 grams.
Yeah.
Which at the time I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, 5 to 6 grams. I was like,
So what trafficking means is essentially they're accusing you of dealing, not using. And like realistically, a tweaker can go through 4 grams in half a day.
Yeah.
I mean, Ben, you'd know. So you tell me, man. That's you
I am skinnier than Pete. It's the meth. But no, so for the and with a trafficking charge, I don't remember if was the low level probationable or was it? Oh, no. So if you're convicted, if you're convicted, you're doing 1 to 6 years in prison.
Yeah.
And so you and Rutledge, who were the public defenders on the case?
That one was.
And this is just stuff we like to know because we're gossips.
I want to say, so here's the thing is, so this is the first trial we started and then it stopped because he ended up pleading because we worked something out because he would not take a deal. The first one I went from beginning to end was with Jin Kim. That was with Noreen DeMonte.
She's the one who went to the juvenile for a while, right?
Juvenile for a while. She's back at the SPDs now.
Okay.
So Jin's back.
Yeah.
So the first one where we went to verdict was with Jin, and that was also a drug one. That was with an undercover cop on Fremont.
Doing buys?
Doing buys. And then my favorite part of this one is so they would, mark evidence. And so you had it was a little rock of meth. And so they put it into the thing and when they put it into evidence, the clerk had a stamped it. And so this rock of meth just became into like just a light powder that could not be seen. So I remember showing the jury, like, there was a rock in here previous, So, you're like, and so it would just kind of poof into everything from the stamp of the clerk. So that was pretty fun.
And that was your first trial,
that was the first
two
one.
verdicts.
2 verdicts, yes.
And so in a situation, one of the things you'll learn doing trials, I don't care how you do trials, there's always going to be a surprise.
Always.
Whatever it's going to be, there's going to be a surprise. And usually if you're new, you're losing your shit because you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And you're focused on all these things that in the grand scheme of things aren't a big deal, but you really have to think on your feet, And so in that situation, like you said, you kind of led whoever was on the stand, regarding that, hey, this used to be a rock.
Yes.
and went through all those things.
But in the moment when it's your first trial, you're like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Like, oh no, we're dead. You know, this is the whole thing.
Yeah,
Do
your
you
butthole
remember
gets
our
very
trial
tight.
we did?
Which one?
We do multiple ones?
Yeah, you and I. Well, I remember the one with Ben.
Yeah.
We could talk about that one.
We got a good story for that.
We got, that one's good. If we want to talk about weird things happening, that's a classic weird thing happening.
We did that one twice, I'll tell you that.
We did do that one twice. Oh gosh. And Jess, you and I did. Oh my gosh, it's been so many
multiple?
years now. I thought we did a couple. Anyways,
Yeah, I can't
I know that's
remember.
the problem is we've done so many. I'm like in so many cases.
They bleed
I know we did
together.
at least one. Ben's I remember just because when we want to talk about a curveball, we had one of our main witnesses who was in custody at the time.
What was his name? It was something entertaining. What?
Pooh.
Yes.
No, it wasn't his name, but he went by Pooh. And so he ended up being put in he'd been chased by the other guy with
Well,
a gun
in-
and everything, but he ended up being put into a holding cell with the defendant. And so,
right before he
like,
Yeah.
like right before he testified.
Yep.
And so that changed the flavor of how things were going in the trial.
Let's
just
just
put it that
say
way.
it became favorable testimony.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I appreciated Pooh telling the truth.
You know, things might have started. The wind started tacking towards a Mr. Ben Natick at that point.
Yes.
And then Ben also gave me a heart attack. I'll never forget the heart attack he gave me on that trial because sometimes what we'll do is we have to redact certain evidence. And so we had a jail call, and there was some things in there. He was listing charges, and one of the charges. I mean, we can talk about all this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. One of the charges was ex-felon possession of a firearm, but we can't let them know. We can't let the jury know that he was a prior felon
Because
And-
that would prejudice the jury.
That would
You
prejudice the
actually go through a whole trial, and then after the trial, you say, "Oh, by the way,
You still got to do another trial.
you're not done yet.
Yes. Exactly.
He's a
But it's
felon. He possessed a weapon.
Yeah.
So here are copies of his felonies. Here's proof he had a weapon. Go."
But we have to wait till that point.
Yes.
And so here we were. This is the last. I still remember this. It was the last witness, the last piece of evidence, and we played this jail call, and he listed some of his charges. And then you stood up, and you're like, "Your Honor, can we approach?" And you're like, "I think Pete didn't redact the ex-felon part." And I still remember my heart went from here to my feet because I was like, "We just did this trial for a second time." I was like, and I missed this one little piece, and I knew I was going to mistry it, and I was dying. So we had to stop. And we went back and listened. And I didn't miss it, and I was like, Ben Natick. I was so mad. I was like, you almost gave me a heart attack because I was just gonna start crying. I was just gonna be like,
Stop it,
2
Pete.
weeks of my life.
Stop it.
So,
Prosecutors
anyways.
can't produce tears.
I know, it was
It's a biological fact.
What was
Had
that
tears
dude's
once
name?
upon a time.
The one that we did with Pete and I think it was Burton. It might have been Burton.
Well, I was gonna.
Yes, it was with Burton.
There's
Yes.
two
With
stories
Chris.
I was going to say about the jury trial I did with Pete, which is this is why you don't let your clients do the work. Okay. First thing is the first time he was tried, it was held up because he wasn't necessarily involved. What it was is they chased the guy Pooh, they shot Pooh, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so because Pooh disrespected,
Well, they didn't
my-
shoot Pooh. They went to where Pooh was hiding, where his friend was at. And they shot Pooh's friend. They
that's
said,
what it
"Give
was.
this to your brother."
Yes.
Which was his technical brother, but yeah.
But the whole point is that my guy was there, but they couldn't necessarily tie him. So there was, I was arguing that he was merely present. Those were the things I was arguing. So there was that. So my guy, while he was awaiting his second trial, his retrial, he found a witness who was at the scene of the shooting,
Buddy Bud.
Buddy Bud. And Buddy Bud was one of the most entertaining witnesses you'll ever have in your life.
He was.
The judge actually was having the time of her life.
Yes, she was.
With Buddy
loved
Bud. Yeah. And that was Valadair, one of the greatest judges. I miss her.
I miss
God
her.
rest her soul.
Phenomenal judge.
Yeah.
Really
And
good.
she was one of those ones who's smart enough to call you on your bullshit, but doing it in a subtle way.
Oh yeah.
So that
Oh yeah. She was good at that.
yeah. Very good. But the other thing I remember, other than my guy found Buddy Bud, Pete then found Buddy Bud, and then Pete turned it around on my client by at least proving that my client was there at the time of the shoot.
And holding a gun.
And holding a gun, yes.
Yeah. Buddy
And
Bud
so-
was great.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of Buddy Bud.
So there was that. But then I also remember, I don't know if you remember, you were there for the sentencing, right?
I want to say yes. It's been a while.
But my client had 12 children. And all 12 of his children were present in sentencing. And it was very cute. You have the family there. They're trying to show their support, things of that nature. And his youngest was probably like 2 years old or something. And my client is sitting there in an orange jumpsuit. You know, he's being sentenced, so he's going to go to prison. But his 2-year-old turns and just goes, "Daddy." And I remember this to this day. Judge Adair goes, that's a memory. And it was literally one of the funniest things. And
Oh boy.
in our line of work, we're not supposed to laugh, but that was so fucking funny that I just had to turn around and walk away for a second.
Judge Adair she had a very dry sense of humor. Very dry.
So yes, so that was the trial we did with Pete. I say it's 1-1 because I kind of won the first one because he got a
hung jury.
yeah. Second one, Pete cleaned it up, and that's what happens whenever you have to retry a criminal case. The odds are almost 90% that you guys are going to win. You know, and the reason being is because our client is now locked into a story. He can't change his story because that is perjury. So the DA already knows what's coming, and so they just prep for what's coming.
Yeah. True. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember the one we did. It's been that one. I can't remember the name of that one off the top of my head, but that was what you're right with Burton.
Remember we got the first count was not guilty, and you're like, see, buddy,
Are you talking about Antonio?
Antonio
Castillo.
Antonio Castillo.
Yeah,
Thank you. I couldn't remember it off the top of
That's
my
the
head.
one.
Yeah, Antonio Castillo,
Oh.
sweet kid. Me and Jess
I
love
like
this
that
kid.
guy.
And what it was,
I
is
really like that guy.
He allegedly shot somebody, so you're thinking, oh, this is.
Now, the jury didn't say allegedly at the end of it. But I'm just saying.
Shut up, Pete.
The jury said beyond a reasonable doubt that he did shoot somebody.
There was actually a not guilty in there, sir.
Yeah.
There's one of them that folded
It was
into
like
many
a
counts.
37 count.
It was literally
Trial.
like 2 or 3 not guilties, and I jinxed it because I
Oh,
turned to our
man.
guy and I said, "See, man, this is good."
It was so funny.
First 3 not guilty.
Yeah.
The next 22
Guilty.
Literally right after the words came out of my mouth.
You know, it
That was
goes to because people a lot of times be like, "Good jury's paying attention," or anything, and I'm like, you'd be surprised how often these juries they really do like very thoughtful. Like they'll come back and you'll talk to them and you'll be like, "Oh, I get why you said not guilty here, guilty here." Like you'll get a lot of juries who really put a lot of like thought into it. The jury that drove me the most insane was a case, and I will leave out the details because they're horrific, but it was this SVU case. We're just going to leave it at that. And the guy had done some terrible things, and he had filmed himself doing terrible things.
Oh, those are always the worst.
It was terrible. And so it was, I mean, from a prosecution standpoint, it was a very easy to prove kind of case. And so, and he even took the stand, and
They always
and
do.
he was like,
They
"Yeah,"
always
he was
do.
like, "Well, yeah, I did that. What's the big deal?" Is that kind of case. We're just going to put it there. So when the jury went out, the defense, the judge was like, "Hey, let's just hang here." Because we're like, "Yo, what are they going to talk about?" They were out an entire day. And I remember sitting there, and for a day, I was pacing. I was like, "What? Like,
What did I do wrong?
miss?
What
Like,
did I miss?"
I'm just racking my brain. And then we came back, found it was like 50 counts. He was guilty of 49, and there was one gross misdemeanor. And they were like, "I don't think you guys proved that gross misdemeanor." They spent the day talking about a gross misdemeanor. And while I died 1,000 deaths in my office trying
And
to figure
meanwhile,
out.
this guy probably ended up getting like 35 to life.
Oh, it was a lot more than that.
So there
You got
you
a lot
go.
more than that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so
Like a lot more.
And so Pete is he's running for office. He has to be very political, very proper, talking about the role of juries and talking about how thoughtful they were.
No, but they are.
I once hung a jury by flirting with a gay dude.
Oh,
I flirted with a gay dude,
Ben.
and it was 11-1 guilty. But because my guy is
Ben.
not guilty, flirted with a gay dude. I'm not.
Ben's
I'm
giving-
not too ashamed to admit.
You're
it.
giving yourself way too much credit. Way too much credit. I don't think. No, I don't think so.
11-1 not guilty against J.P. Rava.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yes. So, all right. So let's talk about that. So obviously, like we could talk shop all day long.
I was gonna say I could sit here and just swap stories for 2 hours.
But we do it all the time.
Yeah.
But one of the things I wanted to focus on is so you're running against Judge Barisic, correct?
No. So I'm in a different one. That's Austin.
Oh,
so
okay.
Austin Beaumont's running against not Austin. Sorry, Austin Beaumont's running against Jessica Peterson. It's Tracy who's running against Judge
Hibbets.
Barisic.
Oh.
Yeah, Tracy Hibbets. Thank you.
Is
And
it
so-
Hibbets or Yad? I always forget which
Hibbets.
one. Okay.
So Tracy's running against Judge Barisic. I'm running. So my seat's an open seat. So it's Judge Sturman's seat. She just recently retired.
Okay, and this is a civil seat. And
Yeah.
what that means is Pete's done criminal work with the exception of the Alberson Taylor stuff.
That's true.
And so he's running for a docket that's not going to be criminal. So the cases we predominantly do now, personal injury, things of that, unless Pete tells me differently right now, those are the cases he'll be looking at.
Yeah. Well, and so yes, I want to say yes and no, but so here's the situation is I'm running for this seat, and we have the election in November. There's also what's interesting is Judge Sturman, she retired.
Yes.
And so she retired just a few weeks ago, and so there's also an appointment part to it. And so I'm up for the appointment. So there's 3 people in the race. 2 of us put in for the appointment, and myself and Dan Hoagie. And so we're both up for the appointment, and we're going to find out in the next couple weeks whether which one of us gets the appointment.
Which one's Dan Hoagie?
He's a bar counsel.
Oh, I
State
know
bar
the guy.
counsel.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
came from up north, right?
Yeah, he was in Lincoln County for a little bit. So Lincoln County, super nice guy. And Jessica, who's not up for the appointment, who's running too, she's super nice too. I mean, really, 3 great people.
Does she have to give up
including
her
myself there.
GP spot?
No.
Or no, she
Not
can't?
while she's running.
Well, because and so she's. I don't want to speak for her, but she's still going to be doing the JP thing, and she's running. Whereas we're both put in for. She didn't put in for the appointment. So
And so-
appointment.
I was going to say
Yeah.
she gets a free roll. So Jessica Peterson is currently a judge at the Justice Court level.
Jessica Goody.
Oh, good. Jessica.
Not to keep giving my opponent
Yeah.
like more.
Oh,
I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm not good at this whole running thing. You know, I'm like. I don't
But-
know. I probably shouldn't have said that they're nice people, good people too. So
I
I'm like,
actually
should I
know
not do that.
Judge Goody when I first started doing personal.
No, she's
she
actually
actually
great.
helped me out quite a bit. So
No,
do
I
like
actually really like her.
Dan, I don't know other than I know he's bar counsel, but she is currently a sitting justice court judge, which is the lower court, and so she can run for election. But if she loses, she's still a judge as long as her term is there.
Yeah, and so I mean, I think I once again don't want to speak for her, but I think strategic decision of let me just do this and see where the election goes, and then for me, I mean, so there's a chance. I mean, if I get the appointment, that I'm sitting on the bench in like a month or less,
Right.
and so that I mean that's right around the corner. It's coming up fast. So I've been going and meeting with different people. I've been kind of doing a lot to kind of prepare myself, and I mean, and you are correct. I mean, it's been criminal for the most part through it. I do. In speaking to a lot of my friends, because a lot of the judges, I would say the most common thing you get in our courthouse is split dockets.
Yeah, it's called a
where
mixed calendar.
Yeah, so they'll do criminal and civil. And so all the people I've known who've come from the public defender's office and DA's office who came from criminal, almost all of them have split dockets. And very, very few of them don't, in fact.
Uh-huh.
And so I've been really kind of getting information, like how did you make the transition? And they've been giving me a lot of good advice. They say that what really helps though is having that jury trial background, because you're a litigator, and so you know what it is to be in a jury trial, whether it's civil or criminal. You still have the rules of evidence, you still have the objections, and you got to be able to, like I said, you got to be able to go fast. And so having that background, I think, hopefully, is going to help me. I mean, that's the idea.
Okay, and so doing this for 18 years, and just so everybody knows, in order to retire at the DA's office, you have to hit. Now it's 33 1/3, right?
Yeah, that's for the youngins.
Yeah, but for you, how many would you have to hit before you get your full retirement?
30.
30. And
Yeah.
I'm assuming when he was talking about deferred comp, what prosecutors do is they buy 5 years.
Well, some of it, no, actually, so the deferred compensation is more like kind of like an IRA.
Yeah, but
It's
I thought
kinda
you guys all.
but you get, but
can do it over.
but that's a different thing. So you can buy years
Yeah.
towards your service,
Yeah.
and retire earlier. And so a lot of people do that. I love you, honey. I love my wife. 25 years. But we had a conversation. So you can do that after your 5th year,
Yeah.
and they encourage you, if you're going to do it early, because it's cheaper to buy
Yes.
them. So that's a whole strategic. I remember having a conversation with my wife, and I was like, hey, a lot of my friends, they're buying years, and so they could retire earlier some way down the road. And she's like, whoa. She's like, you want to spend how much so you don't have to work later on? And she just looked at me like I was the dumbest person on earth. And I was like, well, but I mean, honey. And she was just like,
Nope.
that's not going to happen. So that was the only conversation. I was like, I guess I'm not buying 5 years. I'm going to work. So,
And
she,
to be fair to Pete's wife, Pete has like 28 kids. So
it's 4. It's 4. I mean, I know I went to BYU, but so 4 is kind of shameful. It's not
is.
enough.
You're
My
one
brother
short.
has 7, so 4 is, we try.
yeah, we all do.
I know, but but on that, but so she's a very frugal person. So and you got to keep me busy. So
Fair.
So I didn't buy any.
So what made you want to make the transition? What made you say, all right, I don't want to deal with kitty sex anymore. I'd rather be a judge.
Well, I wouldn't say it was that quick, because I've had people ask me that question. They're like, "Are you just trying to get out of SBU?" I'm like, "No, actually, I really, sincerely, like it's a emotionally draining job.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not like, hey, it's a lot of fun. I mean, fun isn't the word I'd use. It's very fulfilling because it's so important. I have people who get mad at me for saying this. I think they're the most important cases in the office. I just do. I think for what I see, and I've done every kind of case in the office.
You and I both,
name
yeah.
it. I've done them all. I've done all the murders. I've done this, like the shoot. I've done them all. I think these are the most important ones, and so it's very gratifying to get to work on those. And so to me, it was never like I got to get out. Let's jump to this. But I think I hit the point, like coming into 18 years, where you kind of look at it and you're like, okay, I feel like I have something I can give on the bench. Like I feel like I have the kind of experience, the kind of knowledge, also just the understanding of like the people as well, the reputation, that I feel like I have something I could give to the bench. And I think on the bench, I think I could do a good job. I think I could actually help serve justice for everybody. And so that's, you kind of get to that and you think, I can do this. And it starts to, and so it tickles in the back of your brain, and you start to think, you know what? It's hard to make that decision to run. I mean, that's the real thing, is because in other states, they'll just kind of appoint, it's different.
Right.
But the running thing it's wild. It's wild. It's a whole different thing. And so I would say deciding I wanted to be a judge was a lot easier than deciding to run. That was the decision where I was just like, oh my gosh, do I really want to do this? Because that's a lot.
And I ran during COVID, so it was a little bit different. And when I ran for judge and lost, and I'm glad I did because I found out how much they made, and I said I'm gonna go bankrupt. But like, it is a lot of work and it's expensive. I mean, you're probably going to put out what, like 250, 300 grand?
Right now we're just rolling. We'll see what I raise and everything else, but it's not cheap. You put your own money into it too, and there's just a lot that goes into it, and it's also time. I mean, there's a lot of things. You're going to a lot of stuff. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining though, because there really is, and I think you probably saw this too. There's a really cool side to it, which is there's a lot of things going on out here in Vegas that if you're not doing that, you kind of don't know, And so I'm going to like luncheons with people I hadn't gone to luncheons before. I'm going to activities, and I'm a pretty like chatty guy, and so I kind of like it. So I'm meeting a lot of new people, and so that aspect I really like. But just that whole kind of like you're running campaign, I'd never done it before, and so it's a lot. It's just a lot.
It is. And for the record, we also believe that Pete would be an excellent judge, and that's why he's sitting in that chair.
Thank you.
If we thought he was a moron, we wouldn't put him here.
Well, you would. You'd just make fun of me, and then I'd be like, then it would be like, hey, that guy was a moron, right, everybody? Or maybe that still will be. Maybe after I leave, you guys will be like,
now we're really going to talk about it.
Let's really talk about it.
Couldn't wait for that guy to leave.
Yeah.
No, Pete is a wonderful person. He will be a wonderful judge. But how, even if you're doing a split docket, obviously we know how you're going to handle the criminal. And to be fair, like there are certain prosecutors who can't leave the office when they get on the bench, and you can see it in their rulings. I don't feel you will be like that. We will see, but I don't feel you will be like that. But how are you going to, especially with us doing a lot of personal injury now? Like, how are you going to attack the civil side? Like, obviously, you're going to be learning a shit ton.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so, how do you intend to focus on that part of the law?
So, fantastic question. I mean, the way it's been, like I said, right now is I'm just trying to immerse myself into things. I'm trying to be, I've been talking to a lot of the judges and saying, okay, where do you think I should start working on different things, getting that already. And then also with knowing that this is coming up and possibly in a month. Hopefully this doesn't come back later and you're like, hey, remember when Pete didn't get the appointment and he talked about it? But
what if
just
Pete gets
realistically,
the appointment and then loses the election?
That's a possibility.
Oh,
that's a possibility. And
terrifying.
So, you know what? I'm trying to take a very just kind of approach of, you know what, I jumped in, I'm going to do my very best, and what happens. But I think if I get the appointment and if I do a good job, I'm hoping that you can get the word out there so people say, hey, this guy's doing a good job, or you know what, that you hope that translates. I mean, that's really what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that people get to know me and people get to know kind of where I stand on things, and that can kind of build on that. But as you know, I mean, when you ran, a few years ago, I mean, it's a city or a county of millions of people. Yeah. So trying to get that word out there, it's a little daunting, because you want people to understand that and you want people to know who you are and kind of where you stand. And so that's what I'm trying to kind of get out there. And then as far as what you're asking about with the civil is I think a lot of it also works with who you're looking for to advise, to help, what resources you're working towards, also the other judges as resources as well. I think that's important.
Good. As long as you're not asking Alverson or Taylor how to run civil.
Well, I haven't talked to those guys in a couple 18 years. So
yeah, what are you gonna do?
And let's be honest, I didn't talk to them too much back then either. So it's pretty low level. So.
But okay, so Kyle, scroll around a little bit. I don't like where we're at right there. No, just in terms of those are questions that are.
Yeah. And I apologize. I probably got to bounce like 5 minutes if that's okay.
Cool.
I'm not saying who came late. I guess you said at the beginning, so that's fine. But I apologize. I did have another appointment. I promised I'd be at.
Like I said, I know you. Aren't you doing Justin's podcast today too?
I'd promised him previously. Yeah.
Pete's just gonna get yelled at that one.
I know.
Justin's angry all the time. Good guy.
Justin's a great guy.
He is.
In fact, I was telling Jess a story before. I said, because I told him I was going to go over and do Justin's podcast. And I said after court once, and Justin was mad at me for an argument, whatever. And we walked out, and he goes, Pete, I want you to come sparring with me. But he said it in such a way where I was like, so you just want to hit me, Justin? You're like, you want to hit me and not get prosecuted? And that's what I told him. I was like, Justin, I know what that means, because Justin's like a strong dude. And Justin would destroy me. He would just beat the crap out of me.
He's very intense.
I'm well aware of where that would land. And so I started laughing. He's like, no, I'm being serious. I was like, no, I'm being serious.
Yeah.
I'm not going to come get beat up.
Yeah, we're cool.
I'm like, we're good. And so we laugh about that because I like to tease him about that
Yeah.
sometimes.
And so one of the things, like, obviously that's Pete's professional, his goals and things like that. I've known Pete in another capacity in that we both have children. We have both been very involved with our children in terms of coaching. I coached soccer. Pete coached basketball.
And soccer, a lot of soccer.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I never played soccer growing up. And the way I became a soccer coach is it was my oldest kid. We're sitting there, he's 5, and we're standing in a circle. I still remember. And it was the city of Las Vegas because my kid wasn't very good at soccer. So it wasn't like club level guys. And we're standing there. They're like, well, listen, somebody needs to coach this. That's literally what they said. And then it was just a standoff. Everybody just staring at each other, silent for like 20 seconds. Then I was like, I'll coach it. And so I was like, fine. And so I thought I'd just do it once, but I actually kind of liked it. And so I coached again, and I did the spring, then I did summer or fall, and then pretty soon for all of my kids. So I ended up coaching for like 8 years. Yeah. I mean, just years and years and years. It was a blast. I loved it.
It is. And that's one of the things, like, that's why I love Pete, is he does want to give back to the community. And, you know, if it's his kids, if it's as a prosecutor, just in general, he's a good guy. And this is the thing he's doing. He believes, tell me if I'm wrong, that you will be a benefit on the bench. I think we all agree with you on that, but that's why you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
No worries. And so, even though he always talks about his kids poor athletes, I'll let him deal with the therapy bills that come from that.
Listen, my oldest boy surprised us by becoming a really good cross country runner. Not like, winning state, but like he was really good, at which I just realized he was just really uncoordinated. So you just couldn't throw a ball at him. You just had to let him run. So that was the secret. But
Right.
my third boy, he's breaking the curse because he's doing volleyball right now, and he's actually pretty good at that. So that's been nice.
Uh-huh.
And in volleyball, you're inside and it's
Air conditioned.
Air conditioned. Like it's like the perfect dad sport, and it's just like 1 hour and it's just set. It's top notch.
Tam's daughter played club volleyball.
Yeah, Sage.
Volleyball. Well, the club volleyball gets a little pricey, but that's a whole nother podcast for
It was
another day. We could
pricey.
talk about pricey club volleyball. But
Pete is rather thrifty. He doesn't want his kids to go to regular school, so he sends them to charter schools.
listen, my wife teaches at the charter school, so it all makes sense. Actually, it's a great school.
How that came about, though, Pete, was she played soccer one season, and it got hot. And she was like, I'm not doing an outside sport.
Good. Listen, you
So
gotta
then
know
it
what
was
you want in
volleyball.
life. You gotta know what you want. Do what you want. Yeah, I love it. No, the volleyball has been great. So it's a lot of fun.
And so, guys, like, we're going to tie it up because I was late and then Pete has a prior commitment. But I just want to say that thank you for coming.
Hey, I loved it.
You are an incredible person, and it is awesome that you're running for judge. We're going to back you, and whatever you need from us, we're here.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And
Hope I
now-
didn't say anything that'll get me in trouble later. But
Well, I probably did for you. And a new aside, it is February 26th. Somebody turns 46 tomorrow.
46.
I don't have birthdays anymore.
Oh, so what is that? What is that, Jess? Is that
it's
a
a
cake?
cake.
Oh.
Happy birthday, Jess.
Are we singing or what? Come on, guys. Happy birthday
to you, Pete.
to you. Happy birthday to you.
I'm going to run this too.
Happy birthday, dear Jessica. Happy birthday to you.
Do it, buddy.
Thanks,
Do it. And then I'm going to tell you a
guys.
funny story that's going to make you all feel terrible. Guess what? Jess is allergic to eggs. So Jess always had a birthday pizza growing up. He did not have
Pizza with candles in it.
He did not have a birthday cake. But Anthony, being the amazing producer he is, has a can of Spam for you.
Oh, Spam's delicious.
Oh, it's disgusting.
Spam's
It's like
great.
Why don't you just take like a
I
tablespoon of
love
salt?
Spam.
Phenomenal.
Yes. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Why is it so
46.
small? 46.
It's shrinkflation.
I mean-
shrinkflation.
Just
Well,
for
thank
you.
you guys. Thank you.
It's Jess size.
I appreciate it.
Well, I saw Jess hobbling around like an old man a minute ago.
Oh, yeah.
His knees all bummed out. So,
Yeah, that's after he puked on my couch.
oh, that's great.
Was it after or before?
I don't fucking know. I
It was same
there.
day.
After that. Same day.
Same day.
Puked on my couch on my 49ers blanket.
Oh, yeah, it's 49ers. No great loss.
Peach or sauce are endorsement. Fuck that guy.
Now we all get around saying one thing we love about Jess.
Oh, no.
Oh, I gotta go. So,
Yeah.
sorry, everybody. Oh, this is time.
All right, guys, stay smart, stay safe. We'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to our idiocy.
Bye.